We have multiple channels going on, recording as we speak. Oh, thank you for all the likes. I think it's Ronen. Awesome, man. Or kudos. Thank you. And Almog, good to see you. Um, we are live and we're doing this session. This is Danny speaking to you from California. Thank you, Almog. Good morning to you if you're in the West Coast. Good afternoon, East Coast. Good night if you are in the Middle East. We do this session every week on Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. That's 11 a.m. California time. And the sole purpose of this session is to talk to real estate investors about, guess what? Investing in real estate. With a clear purpose to engage with you, to talk with you, to have your comments, your question, etc. So it's not just a one-way conversation, it's a two-way conversation. Hopefully you will post questions. I already know at least one guy who typically asks questions. I'm missing my another guy that usually joins and also asks a lot of questions. You can ask about you can ask in the live session, you can ask on the recording, post a live session. We record this in three, this is going to be posted in three channels, on YouTube, on Facebook, which you are on, and on our podcast as well. So this will go distributed to all those channels. You can consume it, you should consume it. Whatever is comfortable for you. I gotta say that one of the things that I love hearing, it's really kind of great to hear when I meet people offline, like in the real world, and they tell me, oh, we follow you, we watch you, we see what you're talking about. I have one of my people on the ground in Chicago who's actually, I met with him, was it a week, 2 weeks ago on Friday, and he said, listen, when we sat in the car, and those are very, he and his partner are very good friends of mine, and he says, listen, I watch everything you do, you say, all your sessions. I don't join the live, but I join the recording, and I am following, actually change my strategy as an investor, following your advice. So I really appreciate, I appreciate the content that you put out. So this session is for you guys. It's, I'm trying to share the knowledge so you can benefit and you can do better. Hopefully you'll come and work with us as well. Obviously, that's something we would love to see, but we also about sharing the information and helping you succeed. So feel free to contact us and talk to us throughout the session, post-session, maybe have a conversation with us on a more intimate level and not on a public forum. It's entirely up to you. This time, I put it out there for you guys. Typically, I bring a topic that I like to discuss, something that it's kind of something that came up or something that I like to share. Sometimes we just do Q&A, but your questions are welcome, related or directly related or not directly related to the topic. So that's quite all right. Today we're doing something a little bit special. I actually decided to break down the topic for today into two sessions. It's something I like to do during the year end, exactly now. So we will have a session today, which in the first half of it, and then next Friday, the second part of it. And I call it the critical ingredients for your success. And this is something I've just put together 3-4 years ago, based on my experience working with investors. It actually translates not just to real estate. I think it translates to other aspects of of investing or other aspect of business aspects as well. And what I call this, the reason I have two sections in this presentation is that I have what I call the trivial stuff, which is what we're going to cover today, and the less trivial stuff what we're going to cover next week. So let's get started. And again, feel free to put your questions in. I'm going to switch to another screen and actually see all the notes. But feel free to post your questions while I speak. And today, what we're talking about is the critical ingredients for your success, part 1, which I call the trivial stuff. And even the trivial stuff is important to remember. So let's start by talking about item number 1, and I'm sure most of you already heard about that, but I'm just gonna remind all of us. And that is what's called location. Why is it so important? Obviously for real estate, it's one of those things that people think about or people are aware about, but not necessarily follow or exercise or execute when it comes out to pulling the trigger. Let me give you example. Um, about, I want to say 5 years, probably 5 years ago, a lot of oil was found, oil reserve in the parts of the South and North Dakota areas. And all of a sudden, cities that were tiny and very quiet got boomed overnight, and the real estate boomed with it because all of a sudden a lot of companies were coming there, a lot of employment was coming there, and you got those small rural cities or not so rural cities, doubling or tripling literally overnight, and the real estate to follow. At that time, I got a call and emails from multiple local developers in those areas. I don't even remember exactly who and where. And they were inviting me to come and explore that area, the Dakotas, and see the real estate. They were, usually we track you, we follow you online, we see your activity, we see you do a lot of investing and lectures. We want to invite you. One of them even said, listen, I'm going to send you a business class plane ticket to come down here. You come here, there's going to car for you, a hotel room for you, a chopper that we will, show you around. All treated by us, right? By the way, when someone like this does that, that's always a very a little bit suspicious to me. I don't know. It's like over the top. Usually, that tells me there's something wrong there. But you know what? Let's just put that aside. It's a whole different conversation. And my answer to those guys in the Dakotas was always the same. For me, I'm not interested in the Dakotas. And they would say, "Oh, you were doing so well." And I said, "Listen, you are enjoying a boom, which is 100% connected to the oil, barrel price. And once the oil barrel price doesn't, not crash, but goes down, this area will suffer. And my properties, my investors' properties are going to be vacant, and we're not going to be able to sell them. So I'm looking for long-term stability. You guys are enjoying the current boom, but the minute, that will happen, you will suffer. And I'm not a prophet. I didn't know if it will happen or what happened, And obviously, I think it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago. Not only that the price of oil barrel dropped, it actually crashed. It's actually crashed and stayed very low for two plus years. I can't remember exactly. And for me, I can't say it was a satisfaction, but I heard of people that I've worked with us or consulted with us, and I told them exactly that. Still went there and suffered because of it. So for me, that wasn't an attractive proposition long term, and if you can come in and do it short term, maybe, but long term, it wasn't an attractive proposition, and I stayed away. So the term location, which we all know about, so many people just tend to. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Hi. Thank you for joining. I actually, looking to speaking to you later today. So for me, that was something that very trivial. And listen, it's not that I didn't make mistakes myself. Sometimes, I found that, I had a house that followed everything that I was looking for as a flip, but it was still difficult to sell. So it wasn't, the ideal location for a flip, but it wasn't a bad one. So location. As investors, sometimes we are getting so excited about an investment opportunity, something that, that kind of looks lucrative, and we kind of drop or leave all the formula, all the checklist, the mental aside, and we forget about it. So remember, some of those trivial points, and maybe even cliche, are there for a reason. Second thing, your deal, okay? What are you buying? Now, I'm not saying there is right and wrong, but when I say the deal, the transaction, the property has to fall into your criteria, right? Has to fall. If you're looking for a land, to build on it, it's one thing. If you're looking for a multi-family of 20 units and up, that's another thing. If you're looking to do mobile home park, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. If you're looking to do, a single family home, a flip, it's all okay. Just make sure you have your criteria set, your box, and make sure the deal follows in properly and it fits what you're looking to do. You guys don't run after don't be a part of the herd, and just go and do something because someone else is doing it. It's not necessarily the right thing to do. Make sure you do what's right for you, your truth, your values, your goals, your fears, your concerns. Those are the things you want to follow, and make sure the deal fits that. All right, very important. Team, wow, isn't that critical? Don't don't waste time on, or so to speak, waste. Don't, it's not waste, it's actually an investment in finding the right people. If you call up any realtor in any market and you can say, hey, can you help me buy investment properties? Let's just say it's a rental single family home. What do you think their answer is going to be? Absolutely, I can, right? Wrong. Most of those guys, most of those realtors, have very minimal knowledge, understanding, mindset of an investor. Most of them are used to work with homeowners, buying, selling their own primary residence. It's a different mindset from the investor. It's different numbers, different game, different rules. So they're not going to tell you that. They're saying, oh, of course, because they think it's similar. You want to make sure you put your time and effort into finding the right property manager, the right lender, the right, the right realtor for that type of transaction. It's not going to be the same realtor who helps you find the 20-unit building and the one who's going to help you find the the single family home, right? Remember that. If you were looking for a property management company and you were dealing with single family homes and you find someone, but primarily they're doing apartment buildings, maybe it's not a good fit, right? They sound right, they sound good, but maybe it's not the best fit. So those are the things you want to look into putting the team. If you're not sure what team you're looking, start putting the numbers, the list, the team members, realtor, property management, lender, whatever, right? Inspector, appraiser usually goes through the lender, rehabber, general contractor, whatever, right? And then you spend the time, at least on the critical ones, to make sure you find the right people. Don't just take an answer, of course I can do that. Like, yeah, I've done, no problem to do, rental properties. So take your time and find the right team. This is so critical, so crucial. That can easily, dictate your success or failure. So be aware. I've done my own mistakes on that, so I'm going to tell you, how important that is. Next trivial point. Remember, I'm in part 1 of a 2-part sessions. They're talking about ingredients for success, and I'm talking about the trivial stuff. I'm not trying to make anything new, just emphasize the cliche, the trivial. And next week we're going to talk about other aspect or other ingredients that I don't want to call it I think they're more important. So I encourage you to join us next week. More important, I'm not done, than this one. And we tend to, to not give them enough credit or thought or ideas. So just remember, next week we're going to do part 2. Moving on, buy low, sell high. We know it's trivial, but that's always been a part of investing. So it's true when they say you make money when you buy the property. Absolutely true. Buy it correctly. I'm not going to spend too much time on this one because we all know it. Due diligence. Very important. Again, due diligence. Due diligence is not just the inspection, okay? Of course, the inspection is part of it, but the inspection can be not incomplete. For example, does your inspection include sewer scope? Maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. Does your inspection include radon, inspection? Does it include termite inspection, right? Maybe, maybe not. Foundation, if needed, right? Those are the things that we don't always put our mind into it or understand that this is important. By the way, going back 2 points, remember the team. If you have the right team, they will tell you, listen, in this area, we have to do foundation inspection, sewer inspection on houses older than whatever, 50 years old and more, and we have to do a termite. It's not something we have to do everywhere, right? So keep that in mind. The team will help you make sure, good team will help you make sure you're not missing on this point. Due diligence is the neighborhood. Due diligence is the house. Where is it located? Within the the community. Where is it located? With the proximity to different urban nuances. Due diligence is the numbers, is the quality, a lot of things. So due diligence is not just the inspection of the property. Big portion of it, but not at all. It's the property and what it sits on and the area and the metro, all of the, in the neighborhood and the city, those are part of the due diligence. Don't forget to do your proper due diligence. Take your time. If you have the right team, it's going to be easier for you to do the due diligence, right? If you don't have the right team, they will say, why are you asking me all those questions, right? I spoke to someone yesterday that I could tell he's going to be very difficult person to work with because I could see he's impatient for my questions already. And I'm like, okay, this is not someone I want on my team. Next point know your market. Okay, again, you can know your market if you live there, or you depend on good local team to know your market and help you steer through the market. And that means what's going on job-wise, growth, population growth, local trends, areas to avoid, areas to go to, what people are looking for in rentals and in properties. Every area has its own thing. For example, in Tampa, a lot of people love buying block homes, right? Block homes, that's very common. People like that, okay? That's not always the case everywhere. In Salt Lake City, you got larger families due to the type of population who lives there. Most of them like bigger homes. And I say bigger homes, not necessarily the square footage, of course that too, but I'm talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 bedrooms, right? To accommodate large families, lots of kids, right? That's something you wanna not bring your own preconceived notions about how to do it, but be open to talk to the local professionals in order to understand where to go and what to do and what to buy, because not everywhere people live in the same style, or I'm trying to think, some parts of the country, they have tornadoes. You want to make sure that you buy a house with a basement, because when that basement comes through, it doesn't have to be a finished basement, it doesn't have to be, a critical, living space. It just has to be a safe harbor, so to speak, for someone to go down to with their kids when a tornado comes through. Very simple. If you're not aware of that, or you're coming from, from part of the country that basements are not common and you don't understand why someone needs it, okay, then you will not even be aware that this is important, right? Some areas around the country are cold enough that basements are critical. Not just basement, finished basement are critical in order for the family to have an extra space to go to during the cold months, right? Remember, so be open to the comments or to the feedback of the local people. If you come with your own flavor, you may be wrong. I had a couple, actually, they didn't invest with me because they were from San Francisco, and they were considering doing a flip with me in Tampa. And she said she wants to be involved in selecting color and selecting tiles and all of those, finishes, which I told her, listen, technically I don't have a problem with it. My only problem is this. Number one, what do you know about the culture of this neighborhood in Tampa in order to decide, you living in San Francisco, in order to decide what kind of color or tiles to put in Tampa? Not just in Tampa, in this neighborhood in Tampa or this area, right? That doesn't make sense to me. That's number one. Number two, if you're going to be the one who's involved in those decisions, you will slow the process down, and then you will complain that we're slow. So I told her, listen, it's just not going to work. Why won't you let it go and let the local team deal with it? And she wasn't willing to do that. And I told her, it's okay. Listen, it's okay, but it's not going to work for us how we work, right? So sometimes you have to let those things, go and let the local people do that in order to provide a better process, a better understanding, and you make smarter decisions than what you think is a smart decision. Now, am I going to be consulted with or put my own advice? Absolutely. My wife is interior designer. When I have a decision to make about a layout, a decision to make about colors, I seek her advice. She would know better than I am. Sometimes I seek her advice on someone else, and I crisscross and I say, okay, that makes sense. So be open to those ideas, and know where to put your time and effort and energy, and where to let it go. Next thing is what I call the investment criteria. And I think that's very important, key point. Most investors that I've been working with or meet with, they never take the time to put their investment criteria down in order to make sure, the property they're looking at, the investment they're looking at, matches their criteria. And what do I mean by that? Investment criteria for me can be as simple when we're talking about single family home rentals. What's the minimum square footage? What's the minimum, bedroom count and maximum bedroom count? What's the, maximum age of the house? Do you need a garage? 1, 2, none? Do you need a corner lot? Do you need what the price? Maximum price, minimum price, cash flow, rent? It can be 5, 6, 7, 10 different items. It can be 20 that are important to you. You can even divide it to critical ones and secondary ones. It's all okay. But if you don't have that, your own personal checklist, when you get a property and you're looking at it and you're saying, let me review this property. Oh, it looks good. And how do you make a decision if you're not really sure if it follow or doesn't follow your criteria, right? So take the time to put that criteria. You don't have to set it in stone, but at least it gives you the frame, in order to decide where to go and what to invest in, and match or compare when you see something to your criteria. Very easy, very simple to do. Yet most people don't even. They just sign up to some list and here we go, right? Here we go, and then here's a property, and I'm gonna make a decision based on the cash flow and and the photos, right? For me, that just something is missing here. And lastly, for today, on part one is what I call the exit strategies. When you buy a piece of real estate, know your options, how to get out of that if you need to. Selling, renting, lease to own, seller financing. There are multiple ways how to go. Just make sure you explore and you're able to get. It doesn't mean it's always going to work, but at least in your mind you say, okay, when I want to sell this house, I'm buying this apartment building and it's in bad condition. I'm gonna renovate it and I'm gonna start leasing it, and then when it's 80% occupied, I'm gonna sell it. Well, will you? And what happens if you're 80% occupied and it doesn't sell? Right? What are you gonna do? Can you convert it into condos, for example? That's an exit strategy, man. One way. Can you sell with seller financing? Can you are you able to increase the rent? So on and so forth. There are multiple ways. It doesn't have to be 10 ways, but maybe 2-3 ways. You're giving some thought. When your plan A doesn't work, what are your plan B and C and D if possible? So just some thought that will help you lead into that point where things do not go according to the plan. What should you do? It doesn't mean it will always work when you have those plan B, C, and D, but it's definitely going to help you explore that, think about it, talk to other people. Maybe when you talk to other people, they'll come up with suggestions that will give you plan, who knows, backup plan number 7, and that will give you all those options. So keep that in mind. It's important not just to make sure, assume things will not go according to the plan. Just assume that, because usually or many times it does happen. Doesn't mean it completely breaks, but it doesn't go according to the plan. This is what I had to say today about the part one of critical ingredients to your success. I'm just going to recap them. So we talked about location. Make sure you find the right deal. Of course, take the time to evaluate and find the right team members, not just a team. When I say team, realtor, agent, property manager, lender, etc. Buy low, sell high. Do your proper due diligence. Know your market. The market is micro and macro area. Set up your investment criteria and make sure you explore multiple exit strategies before you go into the deal when things do not go according to the plan. With that said, I am done with what I wanted to talk about today. You are most welcome to post your questions. I see a lot of people putting some comments, so I appreciate your happy, good weekend and good to see you. I recognize a few of the names, of course, many of the names. That's good. Next week we're gonna do part 2. Part 2 is what I call your not trivial. I even nickname it the investment muscles that are, I think, very, very important for us people, not just investors, in order to succeed. It's going to be completely a different set of criteria. I think we have there 10 of them or 11 of them. So next week, part 2 of the critical ingredients for success. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to wait for your questions, and I'm going to use that time to just say, because someone told me I don't say much about myself and about my company and what we do, so I'm going to use that time to just give you a few things about us. So my company is Simply Do It. We work with real estate investors, beginners and experienced, to take them to the next level, help them go to the next level, mainly doing residential rentals in different parts of the country, such as Houston and Dallas, and Tampa and Nashville. I've been doing this for 15 years or so. been involved personally with many hundreds of rental properties. I think over the 15 years, I've probably supported over 3,000 transactions of rental properties and around 100 flip properties. We take the time to find good real estate markets in the US and set up local teams on the ground, such as property managers and realtors, exactly what I told you, to make sure I have the right people lined up in order to support our transactions. Then investors who come to us, we practically handhold them. Go walk them through the process, make sure they know what to do, where to go, how to go, all those questions and concerns. It could be little stuff, such as what to buy or where to go or how much to put down with a mortgage, not a mortgage, go through inspection reports, go through questions and issues that come up. We want to help you succeed with your investments. We work with a lot of investors who have zero experience and take them to the first property and on. We have investors who come to us after they purchase multiple properties and they feel a little bit lost and not sure what to do, or they have an issue, they come and talk to us and then we help them move to the next level. So it's a variety of investors. Most of our investors buy their property directly. We don't buy them and sell it over to you. You buy it directly from the seller. We're trying to help you source good properties in good areas. We primarily focus on good areas around the country and good neighborhoods and good schools. We are staying away from the low-end, cheap properties in not so good areas. So if you're looking for someone to help you buy a $40,000 home in Detroit, or maybe a $10 home in Detroit, I'm not your guy. So not something that we do. But if you're looking for a nice house for 150, 125, maybe 200 in Nashville or Dallas, and we are in the process of lining up a new market, then we can definitely help you do that. Like we've been doing for many, many years. I think that's enough said about me and Simply Do It, my company. I don't see any questions coming up. Hello, Eli. Good to see you. Hope you're having fun wherever you are. Good to see a lot of people on the live. So it's always a pleasure. I'm just killing time, waiting for you to respond, ask questions. But once I see that no questions are coming up, I'm surprised that Nir is not asking. Usually, he always has something to ask, and we're missing one guy. Many times comes online and asks a lot of questions that he's not here today, probably traveling. I know a lot of people are traveling for the holidays. With that said, since there are no questions today, which is quite all right, have fun, Eli. Gonna talk to you soon. Since there are no questions, I'm just gonna say you can watch this on the recording on Facebook, on YouTube. See, this is Facebook, this is YouTube, and we have it on our podcast as well, or it will be probably within an hour-ish or so. I want to thank you for taking the time and spending it with me today. Again, next week, we're going to do part 2 on the critical ingredients. Part 2, you're most welcome to join us live or on the recording. And of course, if you want to talk to us, give me a call, contact me through Facebook, email, whatever works for you, that's fine. And we can communicate and talk in a more intimate environment or setting that we can, a two-sided conversation, like I already did with quite a few of the names that I see here. Thank you, everyone. I'm done for today, at least with the session, not done with work. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Have a happy new year. See you in a week for part 2 of our session about, critical ingredients. And Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Bye-bye.